to ABMP's Meditate and Move series. I'm Ann Teachworth.
And hey, I'm Lynn Teachworth.
And we are the co-founders of Trunamics, a continuing education for therapists. This week we are bringing you tidbits and tips for self-care using functional and structural and energetic approaches to the body. And today we are focusing again on the functional approach. So what do you have for us?
Well, for today, we're going to kind of add on to what we did yesterday. I'm sure you guys have played with those stretches even more, and so you've started to kind of create a sense of lift through your body, because so often we're in flexion at work or sitting on couches and phones. Exactly. So what we want to do is add on to what we did yesterday. So we're going to do just kind of a little bit of an experience of how our pelvis works in walking, and to understand the biomechanics of that and just experience it. And that's going to open up a lot of things. And then we're going to work with the abdominals, because a lot of times we're, sitting down all day, we're doing all kinds of workouts that tighten up our abs like this, when in actuality, they're meant to function in extension and rotation. That's their main job. So we're going to experience that. And then we're going to do a really cool experience for the thoracic spine. We're going to help it to feel what it's like to be an extension and drive it through the frontal plane and transverse plane motions, which is super important, because the thoracic spine, when it can't go into extension, is going to cause a lot of cervical problems, a lot of lumbar problems, and rotator cuff issues. So it's my favorite part of the spine, because it's the one that needs treated more than the other two. So anyway, let's get started. Okay, everybody stand up, and what we're going to do is just kind of take a little walking stance. I don't want a big long lunge, I don't want a short one, just kind of an exaggerated stride basically. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of start going forwards and backwards like this. We can pretend we just took a step. And so at this phase of gait, your pelvis does three things. It goes into, if your right leg's forward, it goes into left rotation, it goes to the right, it translates to the right in frontal plane motion, and then it's also going to tilt to the left. So it's going to open up, translate, and tilt. So we're going to experience those one at a time and then do all three of them together, okay? So first of all, let's just get our pelvis moving forwards and backwards like this. We're going to do a few things to really turn on those proprioceptors and reset things. So let's take our hands and put them on our ilium, and we're just, as we come forward now, we're just going to turn our pelvis to the left. Rotation, and you're going to take your hands and just give it a little push at end range. Not hard, just a little enough to just kind of push it past its normal range of motion. You'll really feel that tight in there. Good, so let's give that about two more. Good, now we're going to keep moving, but now we're going to take our pelvis and just drive it to the right as we come forward. And really feel that translation through the frontal plane. Nice, feel there's a little tension in there. Good, now what we're going to do is we're going to take our pelvis and tilt it to the left. So as you're going in and out, let's just tilt it and tilt. I really feel that in my adductors and my calves actually. So now I know what's tight that's affecting my gait at this point. Okay, good job. So now let's do all three together. We'll start out with the rotation and add the other two. So we're just going to go forwards and backwards. We're going to left rotate the pelvis a couple times. Good, keep that up now. Take it to the right. You'll really feel that. Good. So rotation, translation, and now let's add that tilt.
This is the newest dance craze.
I guess so. This is what we do in Florida in quarantine. All right, so a couple more times. Really drive that pelvis through all three planes of motion. Good. All right, now just stand there for a moment and notice the different sides of your body, how the right feels compared to the left, and just kind of walk for a moment. And you'll notice, because you had stimulated all those proprioceptors and everything moved, you'll feel like, wow, that's so much easier to walk. Even my calf feels looser. Everything. It's great. So we're really educating our body on what it's supposed to do. Our brain's going to remember that and let go a lot of those tension patterns, right? Because at Trunamics, we're always talking about releasing fascia and muscle. It's very important, but if we don't teach our muscles how to do what their job, they're not going to stay loose. All right? So let's step out in a left lunge now. Remember, not too big of a lunge, not too short, just a nice stride. And now let's start getting our pelvis to just kind of translate forwards and backwards a little bit, just bending that front knee. And now we're going to take our pelvis into right rotation. So just take your hands, and you're not shoving it, you're just kind of feathering it at the end, just for it to experience A little more acceleration to turn those proprioceptors on. Oh, it's nice. Okay, good. Now as we come in, we're going to go into left translation, so a little bit of frontal plane motion. So just as we get forward, we kind of just start feeling that, just glide your pelvis to the left. Feels way different than my right side did, for sure. Good, now let's do that tilt. So as we go forward, we're going to tilt our pelvis to the right. And this is just one phase of gait, but it's really important to just make sure your pelvis does this action, okay? Good, so we got the tilt now. So let's add them all three together again. So let's just start going forwards and backwards. Let's take our pelvis and start taking it into right rotation. Good, now let's add the right rotation and the left translation. Good. Good thing I'm not chewing gum, right? And now let's go into a right tilt as well. Really feel that opening up. It's a nice adductor move.
Yes.
All right, 3 more of those. All right, good. Let's walk that out. That is fun.
Yeah, and I actually really do feel it up into my shoulder, like more freedom in this area.
Yeah, for sure, right? Because if we're tight here, we try to pick our shoulder up, it doesn't work. When all this loosens up, we get that motion. So it really does affect the whole body, and our whole purpose of this is to get out of flexion. All right, so you're ready to move on to abs, Anne?
Yes.
Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to think about just kind of the length of fascia that's going to run from our anterior shoulder and down our arm, through the chest, down through the obliques, and down into the opposite leg. Because a lot of times when we're pulled forward from sitting like this, it's this angle across here. And sometimes it's not enough to just loosen this up. And a lot of us have programmed, we've done a lot of planks without motion, we've done a lot of crunches and sit-up type stuff to make them strong, but in real function, as we stand up, gravity gives us that for free. So we really need to take our abs and exercise them at length where they're supposed to be, because otherwise our body's afraid to go into extension because it can't decelerate that motion. It doesn't have any coordination there. So what we're going to do is, and we can do this on a wall if you guys like, and it's totally fine. Yeah, go ahead, let's do it on the wall, just to keep it easy. Not everyone has a true stretch laying around. My wife lets me keep cool toys in the living room, so that's awesome. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our left arm back against the wall, and then she's going to take her right foot behind her. So you notice how she's creating this nice stretch all the way across here, okay? So I want you guys to get into that position. And now to lengthen that, right, we want to really create transverse plane and extension motions. What Anne's going to do is she's just going to start driving her knee forward once again into function, and you can see how that's lengthening from here to here. And I want you guys to really think about the space across the body, from the pecs to the abs, through the sternum and down to the front of the leg. There we go. If she even wanted to make this harder on herself, she could internally rotate her back foot to turn it down, and that really gets that going a lot. Now, as she's going forward, what she can do to make this even more is she can start taking her pelvis into right rotation as she comes in and just turning her pelvis this way. How's that feel?
Good.
Yeah, you can even feel a lot of stuff in your abdominals, down into your omentum, even your intestines with this. It's really good. Now, to make that even more fun, Anne, I want you to take your right hand and I want you to reach up to the right as well as you're going in and out of the stretch, right? And we're doing that rotation. Yep, there you go. So what that's going to do is to open up this chest a little bit more because of the fascia lines that go across. How's that feeling?
Good.
Yeah, good. All right, so everybody come on out of there. And now just stand there. You can even look at Anne right now. If you face the camera, you can see how that shoulder's up and back, because we turn on all those proprioceptors. We educated the chest and the abs on how they're supposed to function, and it loosened up, right? Which is way better for your posture than trying to strengthen muscles and pull them back. That doesn't really work, because then it would require tension to have good posture, and that's what we're not about as therapists. So lengthening the front up and educating the muscles will allow the shoulders to go back. Cool, all right, so let's go ahead and do the other side. Anne, why don't you go ahead and just use this bar so that they can see that easier instead of stretching out. We're gonna give you a sideways view of this so it'll be better. Okay, so she's got her right hand up and back, just about head height or a little bit above. And she's going to take her left foot back a little bit more, turn that foot in. So her goal is to lengthen from the front of her right shoulder to the front of her left hip. So really putting that under tension and stress. And now she's just going to come forwards and backwards and really lengthening that out. Notice how she's got her spine in a little bit of extension, really trying to create that. Good. Now she's coming in forwards and backwards. I'm going to have her just start taking her pelvis into left rotation, which is going to lengthen that a little bit more. So if you have to go throw the football with the kids or baseball, this is a great warm-up because it'll allow you to throw a lot easier and a lot harder, especially if you have a bad shoulder, because this can cause a lot of shoulder issues if there's no length here, your rotator cuff just jammed up. And now she's going to rotate and start taking that arm, which is really going to pull in so much extension and movement through here. This is really powerful. She's doing a great job. So just going forward. Pelvis is rotating left and the arm, and she can even make that harder. And go ahead and look up towards the ceiling and now look back towards your arm as you do it. And you can see how that really recruits even more function. Every part of our body is involved with every motion, so we can tweak it to make it even more progressive. All right, and come on out of that. Good job. Walk that out. How do you feel?
Good.
Excellent.
Open.
Open. All right. Good. So now we're going to go work with our thoracic spine. In fact, just give a little bit of a rotation and notice how that feels. It's so easy to breathe. If you guys want to notice as you stand there, just breathe and see how easy it is for you to breathe and how effortless it is as we've changed the whole tensegrity structure with these exercises and get you that sense of length. And what we're going to do now, I'm just going to show you the position real quick for the thoracic spine, and then Anne's going to do it. So all you need to do is get a wall. And what we're going to try and do is educate our thoracic spine to be able to go into extension, and not a lot of people do. So if I'm going to exaggerate that and I'm like this and I try to stand up straight, right? If I can't get any thoracic extension, then I've got a huge curve in my neck. If I try to pick my arm up, my shoulder hurts and my lower back is being overloaded. So the thoracic spine functionally is way more important to move than the cervicals and the lumbar spine, because they're the victim of pelvis and the rest of the body. So if we get this loosened up, it's going to take care of a lot of the other issues and really give us a lot of peace. So what we'll do to do that is we're going to pre-position our spine into extension. The way that we'll do that is we will go into rotation, transverse plane, and then we'll take it into side bending, and that's going to create extension. So we'll just get against a wall. We'll turn one way, and that's going to hold us into the rotation. And then we'll do a right side bend here, and that gives me into extension. And then I can start looking up and breathing, and that way I can move my hips side to side to drive frontal plane motion in my thoracic spine. And as I'm looking up and that's helping extension, I can take my ears side to side in rotation. So it's a really easy way to get that thoracic spine to stretch everything inside it, all the little intertransversi muscles and multifidi and all that, as well as your diaphragm. So this is a fun stretch. So Anne's just going to get a little bit closer, about 2 inches. And so she's just going to go into left rotation. So she's going to turn her body to the left, both feet straight ahead. This hand's going to be down about waist height to anchor her, and then she's going to bring the other hand up. And so what I'm going to say is, Anne, go ahead and just look up towards the ceiling now. So you can see that's got her into extension. And I would really love her pelvis to face forward. And the way I can make that happen is I can just have her bend her knee, her left knee just a little bit, to get her pelvis facing towards me. So now she's got really good extension. So as you guys do this, just start breathing for a moment and really feel it. Keep looking up as much as you can. Get your chin to your ceiling, to the ceiling. And just breathe nice and deep. You'll feel a lot of those deeper ligaments around the diaphragm and all those muscles opened up. That and right there is enough of a stretch for some people. But now as she's here, I'm just going to have her start driving her pelvis in frontal plane motion, just back and forth as she's looking up and as you guys are breathing at the same time. It's really going to start opening up that thoracic spine really nicely. Okay? Now, as she's looking up now, I'm just going to have you keep your pelvis still. Now we're going to use the head as a driver. So as she's looking up, I'm just going to have her start taking her ears to her shoulders. And breathing good. We can always tell what's shedding down the thoracic spine by which one doesn't move well. Is it from the pelvis or is it from the cervicals? It can be either one. Okay? Now let's switch that up. As you look up, why don't you just go ahead and go to transverse plane and look up and just be like, no, Lynn, I don't want to do any more of this. Keep breathing deep. There we go. Outstanding. All right, and so why don't you come out of that now just for a moment. So that's all you really need to do. And just go ahead and stand there. And notice how that feels. Great, you guys just notice if you move your shoulders back and forth, be like, wow, that's really good, but we should probably do the other side, right? So she doesn't even have to move her feet. All she needs to do now is to go turn to the right rotation. This hand's down around the pelvis. The other hand is up, and she's going to go ahead and just look up with her head the whole time and just start breathing. And I'm just going to have you bend that right knee a little bit to help get the pelvis straight. So just give me some great breaths there. You guys can do this in a door frame or on a corner of a wall too. Sometimes that helps. And now that she's breathed a little bit, got it opened up with her breath, she's just going to start driving her pelvis left to right. Doing a great job, Anne. She's continuing her nice deep breathing and she's looking up towards the ceiling the entire time because our goal is to get into that thoracic spine. Okay, it's about 5 more of those, and now let's get the good. And now we're going to go into the cervical. So Anne, as you look up, just take your ears to your shoulders. Keep breathing. You're doing a great job. Outstanding. It's going to clear up a lot of cervical and low back conditions here. And now she's going in transverse plane, looking up to the ceiling as much as she can, and just turning her head back and forth. You guys should really be feeling that deep down in your diaphragm and in your thoracic spine. All right, that's enough. Come on out. How's that feel?
Ooh, intense.
Doing good? No body parts fell off or anything?
I don't think so.
That's good. Okay, walk that out and see what you feel. And for those of you that understand functional biomechanics, you'll laugh because the main thing that people feel after doing this stretch, not everybody, but is that their legs feel a lot longer, because we know biomechanically our legs start clear up here where our psoas attaches, and so as this lengthens that out, it really changes your stride for running and everything, because we don't want to run here, we want to run here. So it changes so much. It's one of the most important body parts. That's why the whole class on the thoracic spine is great. Yeah. Feeling good?
Yeah, feeling good.
All right, well, thank you guys so much for joining us again today. And I hope that gives you a lot more extension and gives you a lovely sense of lift. And most importantly, you understand your body and you feel a sense of peace. And I hope you learned something that maybe you could take to your clients someday. Anything else, dear?
Yeah, that's great. We'll see you tomorrow for some more.
See you then.